couple hours ago, we got a gameplay reveal trailer for the new zone, Ruins of Mortium, and it shows us gameplay of the two new weapons, the Longbow and the whip, also Dracula and some cool other things that we'll break down. And oh my god, the new weapons look so sick. The whip, especially, I mean, that thing looks ridiculously strong. So here in this first shot, we can see that this vampire is wielding a longbow. Based on the color scheme, I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is the dark silver longbow, an upgraded version that you'll craft later on in the game, towards the end game I guess. The environment here really reminds me of the Forgotten Vale from Skyrim if you've ever played that game. A beautiful snowscape and it's hiding the remnants of an ancient civilization, specifically Dracula's civilization. Here we get some shots of what looks like a ritual happening, summoning Dracula's forces to the realm. We've seen a lot of these monsters before actually in previous dev blogs, but never in game, and they look really good. Of course, our vampire here shows up to save the day, dodging some attacks with the Greatsword E, and positioning themselves in the middle of battle and unleashing their new ultimate, which I think is one of the new abilities unlocked by the Soul Shard necklaces. So it's safe to assume that this vampire has obtained one of the endgame shards from killing one of the endgame bosses. And finally, here's the whip. My first impression was that this whip is going to be unbelievably powerful. I mean, just look at the auto attack. It looks like it has insane range and possibly a little AoE where your cursor is placed. They come out pretty fast too. And then one of its abilities, which I'll assume is the Q ability, but I guess it could be either. It's basically a cane Q from League of Legends, a little dash forward and an AoE slash. Then personally, what I'm most excited about, the Longbow. This is a weapon I was able to use on an RPG server that I played on for some time. There were actually 3 data mined weapons if you didn't know. The Longbow, the Rapier, and a Necro Dagger, and you could spawn them in and they were in a playable state. This is definitely an updated and heavily changed version, however. The data mined Longbow had totally different abilities from the look of it. You can see here the vampire casting out a volley of 5 arrows in a cone, and I'm gonna assume this is an ability, not an auto attack. I think that would be a little strange for an auto attack in my opinion, but I guess we'll see. Definitely love the look though. It's also a different longbow than what we saw earlier, so maybe it's a sanguine weapon or something else. The vampire here shows up to Dracula's castle. The first hint is that the winged horror statues are out front, which we know to be Dracula's favorite pet. Then, just like in the cinematic trailer I covered in a previous video, this castle appears abandoned and desolate to us at first. Upon entry, however, the castle's veil is lifted and we're shown this glorious set piece. I mean, this looks awesome, with Dracula himself waiting for us down below. This will be the new final boss of the game, and I'm sure it'll be ridiculously difficult. The previous final boss, Adam the Firstborn in the early access, was definitely a rite of passage, so I'm sure this will be no different. Of course, this will all be available to us on May 8th. I'll be posting active updates as we get closer and closer to 1.0, so consider subscribing. Also, if you're a new player or a returning player, keep an eye out for an upcoming video of mine which will be covering an arena server. You can join now in early access to get a feel for the game with awesome custom game modes like Capture the Flag, 1v1 arenas, and various other fun activities. That's all for now though. Take care.